Kingdom family. Enough. No. I love you all so much. Here we are at the Kingdom. Welcome, 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 everybody. It is such an honor and such a privilege to be with you all here today at the Kingdom. My name is Justin Michael Williams. I know most of you know that already. And what a gift and an honor and a privilege it is for us to all be here together, here and now. And if this is your first time ever at the Kingdom, I want you to type in first time and you'll see our community welcome you. And all of our regulars, I see you, I see you, I see you, hello. I see you, Alton, I see you, Fernanda. I see you, Mary Teresa and Carrie and Evie and Jeannie and my mom, Alonzo. Hey everyone. So beautiful, so wonderful that we get the chance to be here together in this way. So today we have a very special session, and I feel like I say that every single week, but it's because all of these sessions feel so special to me. And if you're new to the Kingdom, I want to make sure that you understand what our belief statements are here and what it is that we stand for. We believe here at the Kingdom that all beliefs are welcome here, all biologies are welcome here. We believe in the power of music to open our hearts and our minds, and we believe that wisdom can come from many places. We also believe in an expanded definition of self, knowing that we are all connected to one another. And here at the Kingdom, we don't just honor or tolerate each other's differences, but we know that we're stronger because of them. And in that togetherness, we rise. We rise together. And so hello, Bob, Mary Teresa's dad, whose first time it is here. We're so grateful to have you here. Hello to all the first timers. I see there's some other first timers here, but I can't see your name for some reason. So hello, welcome, 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 welcome. Truly an honor, a joy, and a privilege to be with you all. In all of our sessions of the Kingdom, we start with a little bit of music, either a poem, music, song, some art, and then we have a prayer. And I will kind of channel and guide us through a personal prayer. Hello, Magdalena. And then we will lead into our teaching. And at the end of our prayer, what I invite you all to do is you have a moment to welcome in your own personal prayer for this session. And when you welcome in your personal prayer, I want you to just go deep into your heart and see what bubbles up, what it is that you need to call in for the session. And then we jump into our teaching and practice and action and all the things which you'll see coming up shortly. So with all of that being said, let us ground our energy together and dive into our prayer. Hands over the heart. I'll actually start our prayer with a poem. One of the poems that I originally wrote with the idea for the Kingdom. They kind of came at the same time, and so I will invite you to listen to this poem like the beginning of our prayer. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. This is for everyone. Lesbian, gay, trans, bi, young, old, black, white, queer, straight, broke, and fabulous, all are welcome to the magic that happens. This is not about telling you what to believe, but to connect you to something greater, to bring some relief to the struggles and the pain that carry us forward. You cannot stop us because we are warriors. We'll come together, we'll sing and we'll cry, we'll learn and we'll share as we all turn the tides. You'll learn wisdom teachings from the world's greatest lessons and connect to your power and call in your blessings. This isn't about inspiration, this is about action, because only then can we break from this faction. So welcome to the Kingdom that shines. We rise together. And together we rise. And so God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, thank you for bringing this community together. Thank you for allowing us to stand in these values and to be a beacon in the world for knowing that we can and we will overcome. Please today help us wake up to the desires and the joys that are inside of us, waiting to burst through, waiting for us to say yes. And may we let go of all the burdens that hold us back in any way, shape, or form. This is your moment right here and now to call in and call forth the personal prayer that's calling you from your own heart. I'll be silent for about 60 seconds. Welcome in your prayer now. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for this growing community. Thank you for the inspiration and action for these 37 weeks and beyond. Thank you for everyone listening to the replays, to the podcast, and who's here live today. May all be blessed and well. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Shalom, Amen, Satnam, Awen, Om. Thank you. Here we are, Kingdom family. Here we are, Kingdom family. I love you all. And I'm very excited to jump into today's session. This is a topic that I actually haven't taught on in quite some time. And I don't think I've ever taught, I definitely have never taught it at the Kingdom. And it was funny because I was looking through some of the notes of some of my favorite teachings. And I was like, how did I not do this for the Kingdom? How have I not taught this yet? And so I'm very excited to jump into this session with you all on the power of desire. The power of desire. And all kinds of desires. We're talking about all kinds of desires. All types of desires can be sacred depending on how they're held and how it is that we hold and consider them in our lives and what limitations we even place on our own selves. You know, will be shocked if this week you have not either heard about, seen a clip of, or watched the Lil Nas X video, Montero, Call Me By Your Name, which I would never imagine that we would be talking about here on the Kingdom. But it was so fascinating. I'll tell you very honestly, I had, I'll just say it very transparently, like I had no interest. Like when I say no interest in Lil Nas X at all up until this past week. I didn't like the Old Town Road thing. Like I didn't care about that song. I didn't know why it was such a big deal. And I had somebody send me his video this week. And they were like, Justin, you have to look at this. This is so deep. And I was like, what? And I saw who it was by and it said, Lil Nas X, and hi to Rebecca's daughter. Hi, Rebecca. What's your daughter's name? Welcome, everybody. And it was so fascinating because I saw the judgment go in front of my face, right? And Lil Nas X, there, you know, his name was there, and I saw this red picture and half naked, and I said, why would somebody be sending this to me right now? So it was somebody who I trusted, so I said, okay, I'll watch it. And I was blown away. You know, on the surface level, there's obviously the shock value that comes with the entertainment industry. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, after the Kingdom is over, I'm gonna highly recommend that you go to YouTube and watch this video that will shock you of Lil Nas X. And what happens in the video, without going into all the details of the imagery and all of that, the concept behind this video is deeper than even what you may have read or what people are saying about the video in general. So the concept of it, the general concept of somebody coming out of the closet and being themselves is really amazing and fascinating. But if you go deeper into the concept of this particular music video, the thing that's actually happening is he is dancing with his shadow. He's dancing with his shadow. And for anybody whose desires, whose truth, whose authenticity has been limited or banished or pushed away in a way that makes you feel like, I know for so many queer people, we were all told, for your desires, you are going to hell. You're going to hell for that desire, that thing that's coming from within you. You're going to go to hell because of it. And as I get into the power of desire, you're going to see why this is so detrimental. And so I love that in the video, he said, this thing that people have banished into the shadow, I'm going to dance with it. I'm going to make love to it. I'm going to wallflower and lap dance it on a pole. But I mean, you have to see that to understand it. And I just thought it was such a powerful example that was in a pretty dramatic way to show what happens when we lean into the power of our desire and accept some of the things in our life that we're even sometimes afraid to accept. And so this is the deeper meaning of the video. And I want you all, if you see it, to really look at some of the imagery. And, there's this moment inside of the Lil Nas X video that I think a lot of people miss, where he's like standing, being chained inside of a coliseum. And, it's a coliseum where people are fighting to the death and somebody in there is going to die. And everyone in the audience who's fighting and cheering for his death is him. So it's him. It's all those small voices that the brothers talk about. It's all your limiting beliefs, your whole shadow personified around you, fighting for your death. And then he dies and goes up to heaven and then goes down and lap dances with his shadow. It is genius. So I became a Lil Nas X fan this week. And it reminded me of just how powerful it would have been for me as a young queer Black boy to have had an image like that, no matter how you think it's too sexual or whatever. That doesn't really matter, honestly, because there's plenty of sexual things everywhere. But to have somebody like that at the number one of the charts, is a really big deal for a lot of young people everywhere. And so what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? And how many of you, can you just tell me in the chat box how many of you have either seen or not seen the Lil Nas X video? Because if you haven't seen it, I could play it here. It might be a lot for us to play on the Kingdom, but I can totally play it here and we can watch it together if you decide that many of you have not seen it and that it would be helpful. And what this has to do today with this concept of the power of desire is this. Desire asks us this question of, what do you really want? What do you really want? And that is a big question for a lot of us to ask. And then we have to ask ourselves the question of, what do you not want? Because society has called us, and the media has called us to want things that we actually don't really even want. We think we want them. They've been implanted into our heads from this thing of not enoughness. And so desire, the etymology of this word, comes from two words, de, Latin root words, de and situs, which means of the stars. Of the stars. Which means that thing that you desire inside of you, all of it is sacred. All of it is sacred. Okay? And so often we demonize our desires. But what the Lil Nas X video shows is that when you dance with your desires, you dance with the shadow of your desires beyond what anybody else might think or say, it moves you to the next level. And I'm going to tell you how to get into that today in a more deep level. Now, I see that half of y'all ain't seen the Lil Nas X video. So give me a second, and I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. And you know what? This is amazing because here I am saying, you know, we don't demonize anything. And then here I am hesitant to even play it on the Kingdom. But there's no hesitation here in any need to play this. So excuse me as the commercial plays. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to pull it up for you all in just a moment. Now, I want you to, with the perspective that I just gave you, that is the perspective of which I want you to watch this video. Okay? Watch the imagery, watch the whole thing. And I'm going to just tell you all, if anybody has like super, super young kids, like it's fine. It's not that crazy. But if somebody has super young kids, but I want you to watch all this imagery. And I want you to type in the things that you're seeing now that you understand some of this that we're talking about. Now, to give you a little context of Lil Nas X, his name, his real name is Montero, okay? And he wrote this beautiful Instagram post that is what really got me. You know, I'm gonna pull it up really quick. He wrote this beautiful Instagram post, and his name is Montero, and he's a queer rapper in the hip hop industry. And he wrote this post that I'm gonna write. It says, "Dear 14-year-old Montero," which is Lil Nas X, his stage name, writing to his younger self. And he says, and think about this, like Lil Nas X is like Lady Gaga, but her real name is Stephanie, right? So this is Lil Nas X writing to Montero, which is his real name. And he says, "Dear 14-year-old Montero," and how many of us have written this letter? "I wrote a song with our name in it." Our name. So notice the union that he's making between himself and his child self, not separating it. "It's about a guy I met last summer. I know we promised to never come out publicly. I know we promised to never be that type of gay person. I know we promised to die with the secret of his desires. But this will open doors for many other queer people to simply exist. You see, this is very scary for me. People will be angry. They will say I'm pushing an agenda. But the truth is, I am. The agenda is to make people stay the fuck out of other people's lives and stop dictating who they should be. Sending you love from the future. Lil Nas X." And I have chills, literal. I don't know if you can see them. Like, I just got chills all over my body because I kid you not. And I don't know how many of you other here. I wrote this letter to myself word for word in church when I was younger. Like a letter to myself when I was younger. Like, I will never ever say this. I will die with this. I will keep it a secret. I promise I will never tell anybody. And then as I was older, I had doing therapy when I was in my early 20s, which is around the age Lil Nas X is. I literally wrote this letter to myself, like my future self writing to my child self. And so many of us have this, whether you're queer or not, have the truth of who you are, the desire of who you are, the light of who you are, squashed by something or someone. And this video, get ready, in the most dramatic of forms, okay, is an example of desire. So give me a second because I wasn't planning to play a video here, so it's going to take me a second to just set up the system properly. And so you'll probably see my screen and a couple weird things for a second. So here we go. I bet you we're the only church in in the world who just did that on Sunday. So there is "Call Me By Your Name." So like really, 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 if you look at the lyrics and all of this, I mean, I see you all see the symbolism. I mean, it's really just wild, right? It's wild what he did here. And it's a little intense, right? Like lap dancing on a pole. But there's so many levels. If you look at this video, I've watched it like 5 times. There's so many layers in there, from like the Garden of Eden and him playing every character, and you know, him dying, like him chained and then getting stoned to death, which is what happened. Stoned to death, going up to heaven and then saying, you know, like, I'm going to go down, you know, and dance with my shadows. And it just is amazing. So Sandy said, "What's in store for Easter?" Okay, so here we are, right? Here we are. That is the video. And it is, something that I think some people were like surprised that I really liked, but I thought it was really deep. And so a beat, what does this have to do with today? So desire, okay? Desire, de sidus, of the stars, which means if a desire is placed inside of your spirit, it is placed inside of you because it is coming from the universe. It is coming from the deepest place in the universe, and it's not separate from the universe. And the thing that I love about this video is what it shows is so many of us, we have certain desires that we push away, that we hide because we say they're not spiritual enough, or it's not this enough, or like I'm not good enough, and all the things that we tell ourselves about our own desires, whether it's sexual or not, right? Just look at the ways that we stop ourselves because of our own desires. And there was one thing that I think I said to you all many, many weeks ago, and I know I said it in the 40-day program, was Robert Masters said something to me one day, because I was talking about coming out of celibacy and all of these different things. And he said, Justin, why is it that you're choosing in this area of your life, of desire, of sexuality, of creativity, of whatever it is, why are you choosing to place a limitation on God? Why are you limiting God to one particular thing or one particular state? When that is actually the opposite of the ethos of what I believe in about the whole world. Here we are at the kingdom where I'm saying wisdom can come from all places. Here we are all rising together in all of our beliefs and all of our traditions. And then at the same time saying, but that, I don't know if that's spiritual. And we do this about people in our lives. We do this about situations in our lives. We limit the divine to what we think it should be versus knowing that it is in all things. And if there is a desire in you, it comes from the stars. It comes from spirit. And so as we continue on in today's teaching, what I want you to understand very, very clearly is this. Desire is the fundamental motivation for all human action. It is the gas to your car. You simply will not move without it unless you're pushed or you're forced. Now, why is this relevant? Why am I even bringing this up today in the context of our conversation and understanding what it is that we desire? Well, if you don't truly have desire, if you don't truly have it, then it's really hard to get the motivation or the momentum to actually change something or do something unless you're pushed or you're forced. And what happens, again, like I mentioned, in this capitalistic society that we all are here living in together, is the oppression of this society causes us to want things that we don't actually even really want all that much. And then when we don't accomplish the thing, I hope you're all listening carefully, when we don't accomplish the thing, or we don't get the thing, we feel stressed, we feel disappointed, or we feel like a failure. So here's society, capitalistic society structures, the people around us, our environments, the religions, our parents, our expectations, our childhood, the media, injecting this desire into us that we don't want in the first place. And then even though we don't really want it, we feel disappointed like a failure if we don't achieve it. But we never even wanted them in the first place. And so sometimes when we end up wanting things that we don't really, really want, we end up striving for goals that were never really ours. And then we stay stuck in this cycle where we never really had the gas for it in the first place. And then what ends up happening is we keep thinking we're not enough, and we keep failing, and we're failing because we never really wanted the shit anyways. And that's why you don't have it, because it was never in the stars for you to begin with. Does this make sense? And then what happens is then we think we're not enough, and then we keep trying to prove ourselves, and then we get stuck in this cycle of trying to go after these things that we never really wanted, instead of going after the thing that we actually want, that's really in it for us. Because we put it away for some reason. Because it wasn't for us for some reason. Just like in the video. Just like Lil Nas X talked about, okay? I'm really blown away that I'm talking about Lil Nas X right now, y'all. You have to understand, like I literally, so I don't really listen to rap. Anybody who knows me will know that. Second, I don't really listen to hip hop. I appreciate it, but it's not my like music style. I've been listening to like Mariah Carey. And I really gave like no attention to this man before 3 days ago, and now I'm giving it like a sermon about him, but it just is so fascinating to me. And so what this really comes to, okay, what I need you all to pay attention to very closely is what this comes to is this. Is your desire authentically there or not? Is the real desire authentically there or not? And you have to be honest with yourself, because if you're honest with yourself, then you can free yourself from even caring about the desire in the first place once you really figure out if the desire was in the stars for you or not. So what you have to ask yourself is this, because desire is one aspect. And one way that you can know if the desire is really there or not is if you are willing to say yes to the work to get there or not. Are you willing to say yes to the work to get there or not? And if not, liberate yourself from the desire. It's okay. You're allowed to use that energy for something else. And when you let go of the thing that really isn't even yours, then you can use the energy for what is yours. So, the questions that I have, that I truly even had to ask myself, for me, right? Justin, do you really, like, in my mind, as a young gay guy living in Los Angeles with everybody and Instagram and this and that and shirtless and whatever, this desire in my head was like wanting a six-pack, right? Like really wanting a six-pack, like super chiseled, just you could like wash your clothes on them abs, right? And this desire placed in me. And for me to get that with my body type, with the way my body makeup is, for me to get that, I have to eat chicken and broccoli every night, no carbs at night after 6, doing cardio every day of the week, just to keep it up. And so I have to ask myself, am I willing to do that work? If the desire was really mine, it's not even a question. You go, yeah, I desire that, so I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to show up and do the work. I'm not willing to do the work. I'm not willing to do that. I was trying to do it for so long, and it just wasn't natural to me. It actually caused me pain. It caused me to be mean because I was hungry, and like I love food, and like I love trying things and all this kind of stuff. So like I was pushing down the realness of who I was, my real desire to go after this thing that the media or that a certain culture had implanted into me. And so, okay, so think about, even, you could do this in every area of your life. Okay, so you want to be vegan. Are you willing to give up? You want to be an actor. Are you willing to do the training and get in a position where you're told no thousands of times to your face? Whatever it is. You want a bigger booty. You want a walk-in closet. You want a bigger house. You want Botox. I mean, literally, I'm making them like very surface level things because this applies in every area of our life. And when we pay attention to this, we can notice how much of our energy is being drained going toward these desires that we don't really want. And if we pull all that energy back into ourselves and then channel it and anchor it towards what we actually want, then we have so much power to use for ourselves. And so an example of a desire that I actually had, okay, that you all can, I think understand because you've related. I'm laughing at Diaris right here, eating a cookie for breakfast, okay? And so the thing is that one of the desires that I had, okay, this was back in 2016, okay? Many of you know, no, 2015. So 6, 7 years ago when I was going to record my album, I met the brothers Corin, who you all know. Okay, many of you know and have been introduced to. And I was invited to be one of the very few artists who they were working with to record a whole album with. I was the second person they did it with. And this was going to cost me multiple tens of thousands of dollars. Okay? Multiple tens of thousands of dollars. And at that moment in my life, I had about some of the money, but I didn't have all of it. And I didn't have anybody to ask to help me get it, right? I was 25 or 26 or something like that, 25. But I knew, I said, this desire, as you all know the story from my grandma and everything, is from my spirit. I am willing to do what it takes to make this happen. And so what many people don't know is for the year of 2015 and 16, I slept on my 19-year-old sister's college couch, on her couch, for 16 months. For 16 months, I slept on her couch so that I didn't have to pay rent or bills, so that I could save up to pay for my album and the music videos and all the things that came with it. I was willing to do it. It didn't tax me. It wasn't exhausting to me. People were like, how are you sleeping on her couch every night? And like my ego, I let my ego go around it, because here I was, this and that, and how was I this age and sleeping on somebody's couch? I let all of that go. Because the desire was right there from my spirit. And all the other things that were desires were all ego. And so you can ask yourself, truly based on what it is that you want, and asking yourself, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to do what it takes? Will actually help you understand how deep your desire is. Yes, and thankful to my sister Destiny, who let me stay on her couch for 1.5 years. It was, and so as we dive into this, I want to give us a very, very simple practice today. A simple practice, and we're going to take a moment and actually do it together. Okay? So here's the practice. We are going to do something that I call the 33 desires practice. 33 desires practice. So I want you to either get your phone to write some notes or get a piece of paper to write with. And it's very, very simple. You're going to write down 33 things that you want in any area or any domain of your life. 33 things. And the reason why we're using 33 is because there's no number in human history that I think is considered more high vibrational or sacred. The only number that even really compares to it is like 108. And nearly every major literary work, every religion, every tribe has used the number 33 to like signify connection to something greater. And it's really fascinating, y'all, when you actually look at it. I talked about it in my book, from ancient Egypt to Christianity to Buddhism, across traditions. 33 has a super strong resonance. The Holy Trinity, Kuan Yin, appeared 33 times. Jesus performed 33 miracles. 33 in numerology represents full alignment with our creative center and activates our self-expression, our manifestation. And so here are your steps, okay? Somebody write the steps down for me in the chat box. Step 1 is you are going to write down 33 things that you want, and we're going to do it right now. Step 2 is after you go through the whole thing, you are going to differentiate between the things on the list that are ego-based and the things on the list that are service-based. Now, I want to be very careful here. I'm not telling you that you're going to cross off the ego things or that the ego things aren't allowed, because that is banishing those things down to the devil, right? Saying that they're not sacred. I am not a person who believes the ego is bad. I think we have to have a healthy balance of our ego, and a healthy balance with ego. When it's too much ego, it crosses over the edge, like everything. Everything has shadow and light, right? So after you write your 33 things, I'll say you'll circle all the things that are ego, and you'll leave all the things that are service-based not circled, just so you can see the difference. Then at the end of this, after you've gone through the whole list, you're going to pick your top 3. Your top 3. And then the action that I'm going to leave you with today after we do this is you're going to start looking at the steps that it takes to get there. And then once you have the steps, you can write out the steps. Here's what it's going to take for me to get to this desire. Then you ask the most important question. Which one are you willing to do first? So what we're doing is we're putting a very practical step-by-step application. Step-by-step application to what do you want? What's it going to take to get there? Are you willing to do the work? And which one are you going to do first? And I want you to notice that I'm asking first because, I believe in a both and world. You can have it all. One of my mentors said this to me once and I never forgot it. You can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. You just can't have it all at the same time. So I asked the question for myself, what do I want to do first? Because the next thing, I'll just do it next. So you don't have to stress about it. Which one am I going to do first? All right? So we're going to try this practice together. And I will, you got the steps, Evie. Perfect. Write down the 33 things you want. Differentiate between the ego and service desires. Pick your top 3. Write out your steps. And then ask which one you're willing to do first. Perfect. So together, as we're here in this high vibrational energy, okay, we are going to do our 33 desires. So I'm going to put a little bit of music on in the background, and I'm just going to turn it up, and I'm just going to sit here and hold space with you all. I'm going to write down 33 desires for myself, and you'll notice that it will, after you get to like 10, it's going to get hard, but you'll get to a moment where you pause, and then you'll hit a breakthrough. You're going to get to a moment like, I don't know what else to write. When you break through that, it's like the floodgates open, so just stay with it. I'm going to give us a full 5 minutes. A full 5 minutes. So the music is coming on now, and welcome your desires. Let's go. 3 more minutes, everybody. When you finish, type it in. I hit that stuck point too, but I'm just breaking past it. Keep going. Give you guys another minute. Okay, we'll go till like just after 12:02. Get as far as you can. It doesn't matter if you're stuck. It's okay. It's pushing you. If you finished and you're waiting for us, then start separating the ego and the service ones. Okay? And then circle your top 3. Thirty more seconds. right, everybody. You got extra time because it actually took me a minute. So I just got to 33. Sorry, my bad, y'all. I know you couldn't hear me for a second there. So I want to bring somebody on who wants to share. And hold on. Okay. I want to bring somebody on who wants to share. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the link into the chat, if I can find it. And what you have to know is all I want you to do is share your 33 desires with us, okay? And I'm just going to take the first person who comes in. So I'm putting the link there in the chat box. The first person who clicks it and comes through will share, and you'll have to close out of the other kingdom session, the main kingdom session, because you'll have like duplicate audio. So let's see who's coming up. And this will be a really good example. Diaris, come on in. All 33, yes, all 33. Go ahead and click it. And we'll work this together so you all can see how it works, and it might inspire some things in you. So let's see how this goes. And Diaris will whoever clicks, I assume it's going to be Diaris, will be coming in soon. Kalani's coming in. Diaris is coming in. Both of you are coming in. There's two of you. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Both of you, I have Diaris and Kalani both in the green room. Hello. So I'm actually going to bring both of you on the stage. So hold on a second. Oh, we have a lot of people. Okay, so hold on a second here. I'm going to... Diaris. Hi, you're here. And then hold on, Kalani, boom. And just for good measure, I'm gonna add Risa. There we are, all four of us together. So hold on a second. I just wanna make sure my audio is gonna be okay. So I'm gonna talk to you one at a time, and I just want whoever is not talking to mute yourself. But first of all, hello, everybody, hi. If there's a little delay and you're seeing a little delay on the screen between your voice and me talking, don't worry, everybody else can't see that. It just is a little thing that the system does. And everybody in the community, just say what's up to everybody here. So I want to start with Diaris. Hey, darling.
Hey, good afternoon.
It's so good to see you. Where are you coming in from?
At home in Los Angeles.
In LA. I'm in San Francisco right now, getting ready to head to Esalen actually this afternoon to teach. So, Diaris, here's what I want you to do. If you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to share the 33 desires, just to share the list with us. Is that comfortable to you?
I'm going to fight discomfort.
Yes, I love that. Okay, cool. Go for it.
All right. Or I won't say numbers, but successful, life-affirming, profitable business, multiple streams of income, property in 2+ locations, home of my own in Los Angeles, book deal, playtime in my week, freedom to choose my work style and clients and projects, a son, backyard with garden and an area for hosting, a husband that supports and inspires me, creative outlet, philanthropic opportunities for me to give monthly, a case study published, magazine features, a personal board of advisors. I want to promote my virtual assistant, speaking engagements, a bar fitness practice. Come on outside. Dance in my lifestyle, travel and food experiences. I want to be able to host retreats, impact my local community, break through generational trauma and limitations. I want my home professionally interior decorated. I want a personal trainer. I want help at home with housekeeping and cooking. I want a new wardrobe, like a dog, a pit bull. I want to be confident with visibility. So, this is my step in doing that. I want aligned relationships and my business. I want sustainable energy. I like a luxury SUV. I love to be able to swim. And why not have a pool with that? So, those go together as my 33.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think we felt that. I particularly felt when you said have a son, like a whew, that like dropped into my heart. That was really beautiful. So
I've
from
kind of like never, I'm like, I'm saying this in public. Wow.
no, this is beautiful. And that does something though. That does something to the universe, right? Like poosh, wow, okay, you're naming it, right? So on that list, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions. Which were the ones that like gave you pause that you were like, should I write this down? Was there anything that gave you pause?
In the last one, adding a pool when I don't know how to swim yet is kind of like interesting. Um, the the trauma, like going through, like breaking through generational trauma, because like it was like a sea that I could feel around me, like as I wrote that, and it felt um like it's a lot, but it felt doable. So like it's something that I want, that gave me pause. And everything else, felt close, besides like the ones that you saw, like the son, the husband, the things I don't talk about publicly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
This is so beautiful. So, which of these, if you were gonna just this doesn't have to be like a final answer, right? You're allowed to change this later. But if you were gonna say, what are your top three? What would be your top three? Which ones pull you the most? Not, and notice the question I'm asking you. Not what's the most realistic, what's the soonest, what's the whatever. What are the three that you desire the most?
Definitely the number one that I wrote, like a successful, life affirming, profitable business, because there's a lot that I feel even when I'm not saying all the words. So, like, what that means to me is getting clearer and clearer every day. Like, as I've been working on my manifestation practice, I've stopped focusing on the outcome and really just focused on manifesting clarity. And that's been a huge transformation for me in that. So that would be one. That I think having a partner that supports and inspires me is a desire that I'm scared to have in my top two, because it's also something that I don't feel like I need to work towards. And so that's something that I feel like I want to put up there, because there's an openness of me that's there. And I noticed when I said the dog, because the version of me that has that is settled.
Mm.
That would allow myself to have a dog, and a dog when I've never grown up with dogs, is a version of me that's open to being a beginner, to growing with something, taking care of, a living being, and arranging my life so there's freedom to incorporate that. And that's the version of me that I want, whether or not that's like the configuration of like this business, this partner, and a dog, or um, yeah,
This is
like I
beautiful.
think.
I love what you said about the partner piece, because there's some things that like when you go into the into step 4, which is around what do we have to do? What are the steps? Like what is it that we have to start doing to get there? Some of our desires are things that are like actions, like big actions. Well, all of it is actions, but some of them are actions where like you go after something, and some of them are actions where you are just opening to something. Right. So I'll give you some things like that. I know that a lot of spiritual teachers talk about when people are trying to manifest a partner, right? Hands up here for me too, and it's like, okay, on your bed, do you have 2 bedside tables or just one next
Oh,
to your bed?
literally answer.
Well, you don't have to answer that. I'll just tell you. I'm just telling you, like these are certain things. It's like, what are you doing in your space to like make space to prepare yourself for this person being in your life, right? And eat little things like that. Like, wow, okay, have I just set myself up to just be one? Or am I opening myself up to the option of having two? And that makes a big difference in certain things. So, Dairis, thank you so much for sharing. Do you have any questions about anything before we sign you off?
Um, I would love, and you can address this with the next people, but talking about like the ego versus service. Like I know, like my ego needs to be in service, and there's probably a recognition that comes with that.
Yeah.
Like, as I go on my human design
Yeah.
rabbit hole as well.
Yeah.
But if you can talk about like the ego versus service.
Cool. Yeah, I'll talk about that really quick right now, and then we'll move into the other two. But first, everybody hands up for Dairis, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in, and I want you to just hang out with us on the screen if you're okay with that, just to hold space with us if that's cool. And ego versus service. The only reason you're doing this is just to like pin it in your mind to know like, okay, you know what I mean? Like this is what I want. So for example, like one of the things on my list, well, I have two cars on my list, right? I have two cars on my list. There's nothing, one of them is kind of service because one is a Tesla. And so it's like great for the environment. But the other one is like a badass white convertible BMW with tan interiors, Mercedes with tan interior. And like, it's always been my next car that I wanted after I got rid of my last car. And because I've been traveling so much, I haven't gotten one. But there's nothing service about it. Nothing. Literally nothing, right? This is just like, I want a really nice car. And but notice how like in some positions we're like, well, I shouldn't want that, and then even with myself, like putting both of them on the list, I was like, oh gosh, like should I have the Tesla or the BMW? I'm like, I could have both. How about that? You know what I mean? Like, how about that? And just putting them on the list just so you know, okay, this is something that I want, and it's an ego thing, but that's okay. But it's something that I want. And some of the things are going to be both, right? Like this is an ego thing and it's also of service. And so you pay attention to that just for your own knowing, not to trip yourself up in like, should I want this or should I not? But just to kind of see what category, is it falling in. I love that so many people are saying here that they have Teslas on their list too. And people are saying, Dairis, that your vulnerability was inspiring and helped them to have clarity about their own desires. Somebody on here wants a daughter and has no kids, so really felt the specificity when you said you wanted a son, and thanked you for that. So it was beautiful. So I'm going to give both of you a slightly different prompt, Risa and Kalani. So I will go with Kalani first. Kalani, you can unmute yourself. Hello. First of all, hi. Beautiful to meet you. Where are you coming in from?
Justin. I'm in Eugene, Oregon.
Cool. Amazing. So we're drawing a line right here from LA to I'm in San Francisco right now and then up to Oregon. So this is great.
Yeah. West Coast.
So I actually am curious, instead of sharing your full 33, I actually want to know what ones were even more difficult for you to write down or maybe surprised you, and name a few of those. And then I want to know your top three.
Well, I hadn't gotten to the point of my top three yet.
That's fine. Let's think about it now.
Yeah, I can probably say my top three.
Cool.
Should I go with that?
Go for it. Yep.
Okay. So I would like to feel like I have the freedom and knowledge to unschool my child, to homeschool him and really unschool.
Yeah.
And I want financial freedom. And my third one, probably having peace in my partnership.
Beautiful. I feel those in your heart as you're saying them. I feel the energy and the emotion, and so you can welcome that. And what I'll invite you to do, and I'll encourage you because this is where the next step of the process comes in after the ego and service, is a level of specificity. Okay? Because when you say, I want peace in my partnership, what does that look like? What does that actually look like to you? And like getting clear on that, because this helps us understand the vision. It doesn't mean no conflict, right? Because there will be, but there
Right.
maybe it's like, so then how are conflicts handled? How is this, what does that really look like? What is the desire there? Because so often we get really clear on what we don't want. We can name what we don't want, but it's sometimes hard for us to name what do you want instead, right? So it's like, I love that you said I want peace versus I don't want to be arguing, but I want you, as you're going through and kind of spelling this out, to like go really focus on what you want and not just what you don't want, right? And the one about I love unschooling. That's cool. I've never heard anybody say that before, but that's awesome. Yes, please. And the questions that you're asking, okay, what is it going to take for me to get there? Because think of it's really interesting. All of these desires that you've all said so far, none of them are unrealistic at all. Right? Like if any, maybe to you it feels that way, but to anybody listening, it's like, okay, cool. That's easy. That's like kind of how you feel. So it's like, all right, so what are the steps, that I have to start taking to get there? While I have you here, Kalani, are there any questions that you have for me that I can help you with?
I will want to do so many things, so it gets really hard to focus on what is the next step. I'm getting better at it, but there's like so much information. So focusing down onto what is the next step? What is the step that's really going to get there, instead of that scattered energy, scattered thinking, going this step, little bit, this step, little bit, this step. And, but really like taking a path that goes straight towards the goal, the desire.
Yeah, this is beautiful, Kalani. And I think one of the two things that I feel called to make sure I mention is the understanding what you're not willing to do is so important. And Marie Forleo, in her book, she has this amazing thing that she calls creating, it's almost the opposite. It's not the opposite of this, but it's like connected to this, is from this list, you could almost take things off of it and create a not to-do list. Instead of to-do list, a not to-do list, to free up your energy. It's like, okay, here are 33 things that I want, right? And then going through that and going, like, okay, this is what it would take to get there. Do I really want that? Meh.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning. Do you really want it? And if the answer is meh, yeah, I want it, but I'm not really going to do that. You know yourself. Like I'm really not going to do that work. I'm really not going to go to the gym 7 days a week. I'm not going to do it. I know I can try to pretend that I'm going to do it. I can try to say that I should do it because I see other people doing it. I'm not going to do it. So just cross the shit off your list and then don't worry about it anymore and put it on the I'm not doing this list. That's literally what I did with the 6-pack. Literally, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm literally not going to make any attempt whatsoever to get a 6-pack. I'm not doing it. And like what a freeing experience that is for me, and how it changes now what I do when I work out. Now I hike because I'm not worried about being somewhere like killing myself, on the thing. And so it literally opens up and frees your energy to do more of what you actually desire when you pull some of those things on your not to-do list. So I would look through your list and go, okay, on these things, what does it take? Even though sometimes you feel like shit crossing it out because you're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like whatever. This is what I was talking about in the beginning. No, you're not. You're just getting clearer and clearer and clearer and focusing your energy in. And guess what? It can change. You can change your mind later.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking while you were saying that. It's like, I can do it later.
Yeah.
I have already had a few lifetimes.
Yeah. And that's the question of it's not which one what do you want? It's which one do you want first? Which one do you want now? Which one is going to make the biggest impact? And most importantly, which one am I willing to do? All right. So we're going to add that for you all as a 6th step, okay, of this. I'm going to ask you to take a few things on your list and see what things on your list become not to-do lists. It's so powerful. It's so, so powerful. And it feels hard because this is what I was talking about. Like society has made us feel like, oh, we're a failure if I don't want that thing. Well, guess what? You probably don't really want it if you're not willing to do the work in the first place. Beautiful, Kalani. You down to hang out with us while we
Thank you.
Reese's?
You bet.
Cool.
You
Awesome. We're
bet.
just holding space. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And people, you'll see in the chat, people are loving it. They're saying this is so relatable. This is so amazing. Thank you for being so vulnerable. And Sandy is unschooling her son right now. And she said it's the best decision ever. So maybe you two can connect, which would be really amazing. Sandy, who's here in the chat. Amazing. Sorry was somebody who was unschooled. And she said she'd be happy to talk about her experience with you. So look at that. Right? Like just naming it. We have two people right here in the community who are like ready. So you all can connect and maybe put your info in the chat box for Kalani to see. Okay, beautiful. Risa, hello, darling. Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
No, I can't actually. Let's see. You're very, 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 very quiet.
How about now?
That's a little bit better. Just
So
talk
quiet.
nice and loud and then we'll see how it goes. So
Sorry, I have headphones on.
it's good. You're good. So talk to me. How are you?
Great. Actually, today's my birthday. I'm so excited to spend it with all of you guys.
It's your birthday? Oh my God, happy birthday! You know I have to sing happy birthday to you, right? You know I have to sing happy
Oh,
birthday.
I would love it. Yes, please.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Risa. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday! Everybody in the chat box, we're all wishing you a happy birthday. Now, okay,
Thank
so
you.
I'm going to give
Great.
you some options here. What would you like to share?
Well, listening to the other lists, I realized mine are very general, but they're also like just kind of core things of what I need as a human.
Cool.
So the first three things I wrote down, I was like, okay, that's all I really need. And but they're not very specific. So the first three things I wrote was peace, love, and honesty. You know, and my list kind of progresses like that, like connection, a partner, travel, wealth. You know, it's like it's more of the feeling of safeness and I don't know. I have like the one that tripped me up a bit was this what I'm working the most on right now is this creative energy, trying to launch a kind of side hustle business. And it's just kind of funny that that was the one that I'm I'm spending the most time on, but it was hardest for me to get it out.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I'm not really sure which ones would be my top three, but a lot of them are like that, like healthy living, healthy communication.
How would you feel about just reading the 33 of them to us? Did you get all 33?
Sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Let's hear them, and then I can kind of laser coach on this a little bit because I feel other people will have this as well.
Sure. Okay, I'll start at the top. So peace, love, honesty, connection, a partner, travel, wealth, spirituality, surfing, sunshine, bliss, easy days in the sun, companionship, a partner. Oh, look, I wrote that twice. Creative energy, more time, helping humanity, healthy living, healthy family, healthy loving, healthy communication, healthy body, healthy mind, meaningful work, my own little tribe, a man, a kiddo, and goat. I wrote that all in one.
Great.
A tree swing, house on the hill with a view, organic food, sisterly connection, friends, dancing and singing.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Really well done. Really was amazing. It felt like you were reading like mantras or like an affirmation to me. You're like healthy body, healthy mind, healthy living, healthy thing. And then I can tell when you hit this, listening to your list, I can tell when you probably hit like a pause point that pushed you into more specificity right when you got to a tree swing. It was like all of a sudden from a tree swing on, it seemed to get a little bit more specific, right? We had like a tree swing and then the goat and the, like all these different things. And so and sisterly love or sisterly connection, like those are really beautiful. You are right on track in your intuition telling you to specify a little bit more. And so I'm not saying that you need to redo your list. I think you had one thing that was on there twice, or maybe two things that were on there twice. And so I would just go back, and what I would do is almost put like a colon next to them. And this is before you would write like the steps. but I would just write in, what do I actually mean by this? What does this look like? By healthy living, what does that mean? By whatever it is, what does that mean? And like the ones that you said, like sunshine, that's great because that gives you like perspective on like where you want to be or spend time or live. Where do you live?
I live in Hawaii.
Ah, great. So sunshine, great. Perfect. There's no problem with that.
It's been raining for like 2 months, it feels like. So I spent the day at the beach yesterday, and anytime I just go and connect with nature, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
my life is easy. It's good. I'm all set.
That's beautiful. So how many of you in the chat is that helpful for? I think it's super, super helpful to see because several people said, yes, I was very general. This is super great. Perfect. I had a feeling. And so there is some importance here for you to just like put a colon and really ask yourself, what does healthy living mean? You know, and that might like fan down or expand down to like even 4 more items. It means like, okay, eating organic food, you know, whatever it is. And then start writing the things that it takes. What does it take to get there? And for some of them, you might realize, oh, I'm there. I might be already there, which is really cool, you know, to see, or I'm not as far from this as I actually think that I am. And that's beautiful because, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say with all the healthy ones are the things that I've been focusing the most of my time on. And so I know exactly what I'm where I need to be with those. And I just want to continue to do those things.
Beautiful.
That's like been my top priority. It's the other areas of like, well, I wrote a partner in there twice. Like I'm hiding out in my, COVID bubble over here. So,
yeah,
trying to reach out and have connection with other people. That's the challenging part these days.
It's challenging these days. We have to give ourselves a little break. We're the generation alive right now during a pandemic. So there's a couple things prohibiting. So this was beautiful. Do you have any questions for me, Risa?
No, thank you so much for the birthday wishes.
Oh, happy birthday. I'm so glad. I hope you get to spend some more time in the sun today, eating healthy food. And what I'll encourage you to do is, since there are so many things on the list that you feel like you're already focused on and doing, is ask yourself for those items, what would it feel like to push that to the next level? If there is a next level, if you're content, then leave it there, but if there was a further level of like, this is more healthy, this is more peaceful, this is more, what would that be? And then for the other things that you don't have yet, or you feel like you desire but are not in your life at the extent that you wish they were or at all, I would pick my 3 things from that list, or maybe 2 of them from the list of things I don't have yet, and 1 of them from what you already have. Because we're looking at how we're adding things that we desire in our lives. And, you bring up something really fascinating to me in mind, because a lot of people, and this will be my last point, I see that we're really at our time, is that the desire process, the aspect of desiring something, the energy of wanting something, for some of us, that feeling of longing or that feeling of desire, we can easily flip it into it feeling like a bad thing. But it's actually such an amazing energy if you can drop the shame and the blame of where you think you're supposed to be and where you're not and what you don't have, and let the actual feeling of desire kind of pull you and lure you and bathe you and soothe you. Like, it's a really powerful energy when we drop all the excess bullshit that we attach to it, all the stories of failure and stuff, and shoulds and woulds and coulds. When we drop all that, it's amazing. It's like if you think of like an intimate or a romantic moment, and there's that moment of like wanting to kiss or wanting to whatever it is, get closer to this person. But once it happens, the desire is gone, right? That same energy is gone. And so it's a really important thing for you all to notice, because I will never forget this moment. And Alonzo had a similar experience that we talked about. Like, for my whole life, okay, like as a kid, all the way up until whenever I was 25, I had wanted an album. I wanted to record an album. And it just was so driving for me. It was this big thing. And then I put it away, and I had this thing, the whole stories that you all have heard, and my grandma, and then this, and all the epics of journeys that came through that desire. And then I recorded it. And I would never forget walking out of the studio when it was done, and it was all the way done. And I was like, I felt empty. I felt literally emptied. Like, that was my first time being consciously alive, that I could ever remember being a human and not wanting this thing. I had it now. And from that moment on, no song that I recorded, no moment that I had, none of that ever felt the same as that that desire of wanting the thing. You know, so be in that moment. Your first book, your first this, your first, because the second one's not the same. You know, or the moment after you have it, it's not the same. And it's like when you're wanting to unschool your kids, you know, when you're wanting to do that, Kalani, and like when you're doing it, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so much work, right? But like the desire that's in you right now, like let that fill you and juice you up. So don't rush through the desire process. Use it as something to feed you. Cool? All right, everybody. I'm wishing you big love, and I'm going to send you all off the screen and back into the main room. And Kalani, please look in the chat box, and when you scroll up, it's going to look like it ends, but you actually can keep scrolling if you let it keep loading to go back. Alton did unschooling. There's 3 people in the chat box who've done unschooling. So and everybody's putting their information in there for you to talk. You're just going to have to do some scrolling to check it out. All right. All right. Much love, everybody. I'm sending you all back into the room. And for all the rest of you here, Kingdom family, well done. You have your practice. You have done your practice. We've done our action, which is going through the rest of the process, which you know. And I just want to take a moment right here and now before we close for you to just think about what your golden nugget is from today's session. What is your what is the one thing that you want to remember from today's time that we had together? And take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when you're ready, type that golden nugget into the chat box. And it's the power of desire. Fun session, right, y'all? This is the kingdom that shines. We rise together, and together we rise. I love you all.